Let's get to the finally the. I mean, look, it's the news of the week, and I don't know the way it all went down was so fast and so swift. Like, I mean, I was doing radio hits on Monday afternoon, and the thing what Jon Gruden wrote in his email about DeMaurice Smith, obviously unacceptable and I mean just not terrible, right? But I didn't think on Monday afternoon that he would be fired. I maybe suspended, something like that. I just thought that was how it might play out because of the franchising question, like how much cachet he has with the Raiders and with owner Mark Davis. And then, the New York Times releases its report and the additional emails, and within an hour, he is he's gone. He's resigned. Where do the Raiders go from here? And is there more fallout coming? How do they? Is Mike Mayock going to be the guy long term at GM? Mark Davis, I believe, his comment was, "I have no comment. Ask the NFL; they have all the answers." A very, some would say, not exactly
flippant.
Yeah. A very snipped response there.
Mm-hmm. So I would say, based on everything,
that was a very broad question. So
no, it's fine. It's a broad conversation.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to mind, Will, is I feel like that Mark Davis needs to rethink his answer. With the gravity of the things that were revealed in the New York Times article, to just pass that off and say, ask the NFL, you can't do that as the owner of the Raiders. I understand and respect his relationship with Jon Gruden, the passion with which, he displayed as far as bringing him back, the organization bringing him back for the second time. And maybe
he called it the greatest day of my life when he hired Jon Gruden for the second time. I mean, right, weird.
Right. And so that illuminates to you how hard it was to make this separation. Some feel like that is also illuminated by the fact that Jon Gruden resigned as opposed to being fired. And we can have a whole discussion as to whether he should be or not. And I just did a whole 30-minute conversation with KJ Wright the other day about it.
Right.
But so to me, that's the first thing that, as a representative of the league and the leader and owner, that he needs to rethink that comment. When you really, I think the head coach of the Rams really nailed it with his answer. I see there's almost 3.5, 4 million people who have now viewed that.
Oh, the Chargers, right? With Brandon Staley, that's right. Fine. LA, whatever. And Sean McVay,
defensive coordinator for the Rams,
yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, no, I thought Brandon Staley's answer, and I linked that in my picks article today. It was eloquent, articulate, and profound in a very simplified way. Like, it's not hard. I mean, it's not like he, broke down the construction of like various molecules and chemical elements. I mean, he just simply said, let's be nice to each other. Let's treat each other in a positive fashion.
And look how profound that sounds in the noise of all, cancel culture and, faux outrage and all this other stuff. And, it's the versus culture. It's the or culture. It's not the and culture. I mean, all these words that people use to describe kind of what the temperature is of social media right now. But a couple of things I want to make a point about. One, I want to say that I do think it's a valid discussion about the gravity of the first comment and how much that warranted the outcome now. I do think that that's a worthy discussion, and whether you needed to have a compilation of other offensive comments to warrant or magnify and amplify just how offensive it was. I think that's just a worthy discussion.
No, for sure. And I mean, because it's like, it's not a great look to say, oh, it's just racist. Well, no, like, it's fine. But now he's homophobic too. Well, now you have to it shouldn't take two levels of bigoted comments to
Right. Because you don't want to get really in the business of ranking sin, so to speak. Right.
For sure.
It's like, if one thing is this, then it's that. Now, and that's another separate conversation with what KJ was bringing up with regards to how long is cancel culture? How much do we condemn when we know also that those condemning and throwing stones also fall short? And, when does forgiveness get inserted? That's a whole other conversation too. Then there's the other conversation of the timeline, Will,
right,
which seems really tidy and too neat. And what do I mean by that? So if you look at the Wall Street Journal originally, okay, they said that the investigation into the Washington football team was about the workplace misconduct, and that wrapped in the summer. Then they said after that there was the discovery of the 650,000 emails, and that certain people within the league were directed to review that, and that only this past week, coming into the week of the the Wall Street Journal article that was on Friday, that the beginning of that week or before that did the summary get to Roger Goodell. Let's just pause there.
Right.
Let's just pause that. No one's getting into the timeline, right? Let's just pause there. And this is what kind of Brian Urlacher was bringing up on my show too. What? You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to ask more questions with regards to I understand 650,000. Yes, valid. That takes a long time to get through. But we need to ask more questions about the process of review and the hierarchy that works through, and who really knew what, when, and how long they've been. I think that's a fair question. Then secondly, the second question, Will, is when exactly did it get to the Raiders? What day?
Yep.
Because if you look at the statement from the owner, he said that he found out from a reporter Thursday, the night before.
Friday at the latest. He had the emails Friday at the latest, and Jon Gruden coached on Sunday. I mean,
but stop. Okay. The statement, I believe, says, and correct me if I'm wrong out there. If I got it wrong, fine. I got it wrong. But I think I remember that the statement says that he found out from a reporter Thursday. He said the night before, so that would have been Thursday. What? So that's another question. People in the Las Vegas area, you got to ask, got to get to that. Are you saying that you didn't hear anything from the league beforehand, and that you first heard about this from a reporter? I'll make sure I got that right. But that's what I think I read. Okay. Then secondly, when you look at the ESPN article that came out on Sunday, Will, it's in that article, it says that they talked to him Friday night. And in that article, it says that Jon Gruden was aware of at least 5 to 7 emails. So then my next question would be, see, this is if I was...
And by the way, Josina, you are correct. So he said we were first, on a statement issued Friday evening, he said we were first made aware of the email, as in the DeMaurice Smith email, late yesterday, as in Thursday, by a reporter, and are reviewing it along with other materials provided to us today by the NFL.
Again, I brought this up on my own show. Again, this is what I'm saying. What? So to me, there's like things that are just sticking out like store thumbs that I need to be pressed in that area. Okay. Because if I was in that press conference, the first thing I would be saying was, wait, you found out from a reporter? So you telling me that seems too tidy, Will?
Yeah.
That's too tidy. Okay. So then let me advance the next point. So the next point is that, so on Sunday on the timeline, ESPN drops this article. They've talked to Gruden. Now Gruden's on the record. In that article, it says that he was aware of at least 5 to 7 emails at the time. So that was Friday night. Okay. But
he also, by the way, said in that conversation, he goes, I called Roger Goodell and they did expletive.
That's my point.
They didn't say what it was.
So that's what I'm about to get to. So you're exactly right. So knowing whatever the content was of those 5 or 7 emails, which we don't know what was in those 5 or 7 emails, the response, at least per the report, I don't know if you said anything else. I can only go off what is in, the report on ESPN. Your response was, well, I also said other things about Roger Goodell too. So again, this is what I said on my show. Well, I have a problem with the word too, because it seems like there's a deflection there by saying the comment to DeMaurice Smith is not as bad because I also said vulgar things about other people too. That and then the second part about it is that per the article, you were at least aware of 5 or 7 emails. However, you addressed none of the other things that came out in the New York Times article in the initial comments, at least per the report. That's and these are, I'm like, this is what needs to be brought up. You know what I'm saying? And so now we bring it back full circle. The New York Times drops the article. We hear about more offensive language. And then, I hear behind the scenes that Gruden feels his words are getting twisted and all these other things. And I get it. There are players like KJ are coming out and saying to me, other players that are, not named, saying that this is not the man we know. And contrary to what people think they would be saying that I was reporting, I've heard a lot of people say, well, wow, that's not what I thought I would hear. However, I do think that regardless of the conversation of forgiveness, I'm about to wrap this up, is that I feel like there needs to be a period where Gruden really does understand why it's not just twisting. You understand what I'm saying? Like really internalize that. And I do believe, because of my own faith and how I am as a person, because I know I darn fall short. My Twitter bio used to start with the word imperfect. Probably need to put that back up there. You know what I'm saying? So I get it, that I do believe if he can have like a serious internalization of that and reckoning of that, then shoot, he could even be a PSA, for the NFL in the future with regards to, being aware of, what's the word I'm looking for? Insensitive language.
Yeah, for sure.
All those things. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. And I mean, like, yes, it is not fair to take somebody's email from 2011 and say, well, that's it. You need to go to Siberia and we don't ever want to hear from you again. And you're not allowed to rehabilitate your image, because we have seen far too many people in this country and in sports in general who, I mean, like second
in high offices, Will, in high offices.
In high offices. Yeah. So yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. And then the other thing really quickly, I know we'll wrap up here in a second, but like I saw Mike Florio wrote at PFT, and I agree with him completely that I think the headline is plenty of people are nervous about the Bruce Allen emails. Yeah. You think? I mean, Adam Schefter of ESPN has caught some, collateral damage as a result of these Bruce Allen emails already. And there are 650,000 emails from the Washington football team over a 10-year span. There is unquestionably going to be communications between Bruce Allen, who felt the flagrant freedom to use his work email, which I get that you're older and you might not get email, Bruce. It's still it says .nfl.com on there, bro. Like, set up a Gmail, set up something, a Hotmail, AOL, anything that's not your work email, man. Like, I mean, I know if you want to use it for business, use it for business. If you got to like email with Gruden about like, old man, like forward, like crude jokes, like maybe set up a different email address, but to my point is like, if he's willing to do all this stuff with Gruden and these guys who own these businesses and this group email thread, Lord only knows who he's emailed with, who he's emailed about when it comes to NFL business. And I would guess that while all of us want to see these emails shot out into the into open space, that there are probably a lot of people who don't want them out there.
Well, I'll go back and again say this, like, even as I listen to us talk, right? Like, I just keep hearing KJ's voice in my head, right? Because, he says, listen, and even Brian Urlacher said this on my show, it's like, any of us who haven't, said things, privately or publicly that, may be considered offensive to some, or, just, done things that we regret, or whether it's in our young age, let alone, gosh, well, I don't even know what I was doing 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I guess 10 years ago, fine. 20, no doubt.
Right. But what I'm saying is so it's not acceptable. It's not unassailable. But I am about redemption. You know what I mean? And I am about, being able to say, that wasn't the best choice. It got caught up or whatever. But I do feel like the initial apology to Chris Mortensen in that ESPN article was not it. So that's not it. That's just not it. And then KJ also told me that he, even after the resignation came, that he never said goodbye to the players. And so that was one thing that he did say he had a problem with, that he didn't say, he didn't say goodbye and properly address that. But I don't know, Will.
He got out of there so fast, Josina. It feels like he didn't. To me, it felt like he did not want
to deal with it.
He didn't want to deal with it. I mean, he left $60 million on the table and bounced an hour after a New York Times article dropped, emails that were probably going to get him fired eventually. But if the Raiders had continued to drag their feet, it does seem likely that the NFL was like, look, we got 650,000 of them and like 100,000 of yours, John. So, do whatever you like, but we are going to keep releasing these until, and if there's a decent chance that they get worse, I guess, like, I don't.
You know what, Will, though, and I'll say this. I was going to say this on my show, but I'll say it here. Is that I don't think everyone's trying to obviously bring out or figure out what the origin of the leaks are, right? Obviously, I have my own theory. I think people have their own theory, and most people probably agree on that theory. However, now that this article has come out from the LA Times, it does make me question a few things. I think Sam Farmer and the other gentleman that's on that article, or reporter, I should say, I think they did a really, good job and following up, this defamation case that involves, Daniel Snyder, and I think it's Bruce. I'm not sure. So
yes, it's between Bruce and between Bruce and Dan Snyder.
So what that means, Will, is that there are other people who've seen these emails outside of the NFL.
It is interesting,
but that's what that means. And because the first thing that came to my mind when I missed it because I've been just so busy. I'm not as locked in on TweetDeck as I typically am. But when someone told me of the story coming out, the first thing I thought, I was like, but that was before I saw the LA Times. I was like, well, that's odd, because everybody thinks, where these leaks are coming from. And I think that, the subject of who that person, the story was about, I was like, well, that's a amicable relationship. So that doesn't really make sense. So if you think about it, so you have to really think about these things, because sometimes the way things get printed and the way they answer it for you.
Correct. There's always little breadcrumbs.
It doesn't that doesn't make any sense. So, but then when I saw the article, I was like, oh, now that makes sense. So at the very least, there are other people who have seen these emails as well. And it may be a multi-prong link.
Yeah. I love a good multi-prong situation.
It might not just be who's entity that many of us think it is.
Right.
There may be another source here. Doesn't mean it was the original one, but at the very least, there are multiple eyes, and that is why when people are asking me whether it's my editor, people are talking like, but why? And the reason why I say is because once you do the investigation. And there's so many emails, there are multiple eyes on those emails. So that means that there are multiple people who know. So then now when you uncover the content of those emails, you cannot risk sitting on that and then the attention coming back to the NFL with regards to, well, you were sitting on this forever. And, so does that mean you don't have a problem with it? So now it has to get out. It has to get out. And then now you look, and then when we just went over the timeline, you see.
No. I mean,
I don't even have to finish my sentence.
Oh, sorry.
I'm saying I don't have to finish my sentence.
Yeah, no. I agree. The NFL, once the NFL was made aware of what Jon Gruden wrote in those emails, the NFL could not allow Jon Gruden to be employed by an NFL club moving forward because, as you're saying, if like 5 months down the road, these emails, which again, some of them are in these court documents. These come out that the NFL knew about it for 5 months. It's like, you covered up for Jon Gruden despite these like racist and homophobic and misogynistic emails, and it would be a thing. So the NFL, but you're right. There's, I think the larger point is
you can't sit on it.
You can't sit on it. And I don't think we're done with we can be done with it for today, but I don't think we as an NFL following, NFL analyzing, entity at CBS are done talking about these emails. I think the emails are going to be a thing for a hot minute.
But here's where I disagree, and I'll put a button on it here. I feel like there would be nothing wrong with the NFL just having a transparent press conference.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it has to come out in this manner. That's really the thing. It doesn't have to come out in this manner.
They've been doing it like this for too long, though. They don't know anything else, I don't think.
But just have a press conference. This is the summary of our findings. We don't condone this. The same way the statement come out saying it was abhorrent, it's appalling, it's wholly contrary to the values. So these leaks, is just like, that's the part, you know, and again, I haven't fully said on this podcast who I think the leagues are from. We're having a broad conversation. However, I'm just saying the crumbs are the crumbs. That's what I'm saying.
That's the lesson from today's podcast. Follow the crumbs.